Hello everybody, welcome back to Do Metal Stuff. This week's episode I'm gonna explain the clone BIAX I made, and I want to talk to you about the 3D sketches, the plans, if I am able to share them, and you will see that in this video. Let's dive into the explanation bit, and I have some little bit of scraping in there. And I will show you the problem I found after a few times of scraping these nice parallels over here. So I hope you enjoy this video and stick to the end for the question about if I'm allowed to share these 3D sketches / plans. So hope you enjoy this. So as you can see, I have all the parts loose lying on this table, and I will show you how I started it. So I found on the internet this piece with this length dimension of 40 millimeters, and I found this bearing, and there's a number on the bearing, so I could get those dimensions from SKF from the bearing maker. I hope you can see. So then it was looking at the pictures of how this thing looks, and the original BIAX thing is probably made from cast iron or something, but I made this out of hot rolled S355. And why hot rolled? Because when I made it in the lathe, I started on this side because here's some threads in here. So I made this like so. Maybe I have some footage of it, but I don't know. It's been a while. And then I needed to hold this tight in a divining head, and that's why I made this thing that fits pretty tight in here, and I Loctite it so it would not be moving around when I was drilling the holes and milling these slots. And as you can see, I made a little mistake, because in my sketches I had this hole wrong. It must sit on this side. So did that again. These little studs are just made from the same material, only way smaller, of course. Made some threads on it. Put them in here. So yeah, because it's a bit hard to do this on a lathe. And then when this thing was done in the 3D sketches, I moved on to how to retain the bearing in its housing That's why I chose this threading operation to make these threads in here, and this locking nut. It's almost the same as the original Biax, as you can see in the pictures here. And yeah, that's this part done. And then I looked into the part that's allowing this to swivel around on these axes, and that's this little thing. And I've seen it in the pictures online that it's off center a little bit, so I try to mimic that. I started off with a normal square block, made the height size of length size in it, then put the threads in here. I chose normal threads because then I could use a normal bolt, and as you might see, this is not a normal bolt, but this is, and it's the same type of bolt, but I threaded a little bit more on here, as you can see. And then I made a little clamping thing for in the lathe, so I could hold on here and make these little steps on it with the M6 thread on the end. So it looked like the original one. Focus. Let's go to the housing. This is made like so, easier than the Biax variant, because the Biax has more holes in here. Don't know why all those holes need to be in there, but I skipped them. I had drawn them in, but I don't find any necessary reason to use it. So yeah, maybe it's because it's in the housing of the Biax that you can rotate it so that you can access this setting bolt, but I don't know if that's the case. But that's an idea I have about why all those holes are in the Biax variant. As you can see, I have made a little boo-boo on this part as well. Don't know how exactly that occurred, but I had this in the divining head. Maybe the end mill was a little bit dull, that it shifted on me, but these holes were not perpendicular to each other or straight across to each other against these little dimples here. But I managed to fix it with some brass inserts. I didn't really feel the need of doing this again. Yeah, it has a little bit of free space. As you can see, it can shift around a little bit, but that's because you want this to move freely. As you can see, it has a lot of room. Maybe it could be tighter, but I don't know. I chose this way. So then again, we need to retain this on this spot. So made this cover thingy with first of all the hole I milled in here and here, and then it should retain this like so. It speaks for itself, I think. Made a little latch here so it will center around this with a little bit of play, and that's the main parts done. And then I have to need to figure out how to create this part, because if you want to do it out of one piece, there's a whole lot of workaround thingies to do. I don't like to do. I could have been doing that, but I've chosen the easy way, and that's I made this pin and make this little stopping edge here, so it will not roll. I interrupt this video to talk about the plans of this scraping machine. I've got here the original documents from 1960, as you can see here. Someone asked me if I could share my plans, so if this is correct, I'm allowed. Up against the straight bit here, made a hole in here, pressed it in, then welded it up with TIG weld, and then the same thing is for this little pin, but I made this out of a little bit bigger stock, because everybody knows when you weld stuff together, it is prone to move around. And what I did was put it in the milling vise on a parallel, so this lies parallel with the bed of the machine, and this was hold down in the machine vise, so that's parallel up and down, and then milled this thing round, and as you can see here, it's not completely round no more, because it was shifted a little bit that way. And as you can see, the positioning was shifted also, because I was aiming for this to be in the center of the thing, but that didn't happen. Don't know why. Maybe the welder put in too much heat or something, but yeah. Place for the retaining clip, and that is this angular rotational to how do you front and back. Okay, don't know how to explain that. Okay.
Ja, ik vind dat mooi, jongen. Ja, mooi, hè? Zo Steven en Matthijs om eruit gaan maken. Kijk, de ene kant zit nog even eraf. Maar goed, ook allemaal erin.
Another interruption. You might think, where can I find these plans? So I made this my Ko-fi page. I have a little shop on there, so you can find the plans in the shop. Then I have most of the important parts and the hard to make parts explained, then we come to this bit where your tool mounting thing is fixed. What I did was took some shaft material that's centerless ground and made a little knobby on the end, drilled a hole in this ring thing. Maybe you can see it in there. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. There is the knobby thing. Made this ring with a slightly undersized bore here, then let it weld together. And once that was done, I milled out this hole to let this piece fit in here with little less, not that much play, because every time this will rock around, you will distort the roundness of this, and I don't want that. So little play in here. When that was done, I made this little keyway slot, because you want this to be moving front to back and back to front in here. And when all of that was done, I made this slot to fit the piece where you mount the tools on. And then I have all the parts. I need to figure out how to fix it on my drilling machine. And why did I pick my drilling machine? As you can see here, it has nice big thing to clamp on. That's why I made this clamping. That's why I make this clamping ring. And I made this housing for the bushings, sliding bushings from bearing bronze. So this can be housed in here. And then I put everything on a table to see where I need to be lengthwise with my frame thingy, and height-wise, because if this bolt is in this thing, it cannot stick out, because then it will hit the frame. And this is just a rough measured, so everybody needs maybe different lengths of legs and horizontal bar here. It's just hollow tubing, square hollow tubing, as you can see. And this is welded up by a student of mine in our shop. So thank you, Mike, for welding it up. And in the last video you saw these brass thingies were a little bit different as they are now, because this was the first idea I had. They fit pretty well in here, but I couldn't tighten it down, and that's why I had 4 set screws in here to at least keep it in place. But I made a few bigger ones, and I noticed I have here, what is this, 4M5 bolts in here. That's a little bit big for the idea here, but I adjusted it. I made a new sketch for this piece, so I believe I put down M4 now, and those heads are a little bit smaller, really a lot smaller. So if you want to recreate this, you don't have this sticking out problem as I have, as you can see. So I think I have talked about everything. So I was editing my explanation video and I noticed I forgot two things. One is the bit where the blade is mounted on, and what I did was I milled it out this side downwards, and then sawed off the rest and milled the other side flat. Then I needed to make all those holes in here. So first up I placed it on a few parallels and milled these little holes for the screws to attach to the sliding rod. And then I need to make those two little holes to keep the blade in its place. And what I did was just put it in the vise with a parallel on top, so that's more than enough for the squareness, not squareness, straightness against the drilling bit. And here's a little video about the milling operation I did to get this little mounting block. Why did I put brass in here? Because it's easier to recreate, and these surfaces are sliding surfaces, and I want to I don't want this block to be getting worn in easy, so I took brass. Brass is easier to wear, so that's all the ideas I had about how to make this. And also I talked about my frame but didn't mention this. I let my student weld this up, and it is a little bit it has a little bit been moving around due to heat and stuff. So what I did was I made these bronze, sliding bronze bushings, very undersized. So when everything was done, this was not in line with this. This was not in line with this. So after the welding, I placed it down on the table and then make these holes bigger. So this was perpendicular to each other. And if you take a closer look at this backside, you can see it. This side is bigger than that side. So that is how I fix this little problem of after welding. What is My Ko-fi? My Ko-fi is a website where creators like me can set up a little shop, and there's also a donation department. I don't know how you call that, but so for my biggest fans, you can donate, and for those who want to have my plans, you can go into look into my shop. So I hope you'll find your way over there. Thanks for that anyway. And then we come to my scraping of my parallels. I thought I was doing it correctly, but I get a weird bow idea from somewhere. I didn't know how one of the three straight edges has a bow in it when I was just letting it loose like this, because now it's freely to move. And I will show you what I mean. It's rotating here in the center. But when I was scraping, oh, it was broken. So when I was scraping, it moves over here and it moves over here. So I need a different way to clamp my workpiece for the scraping, because this ain't working.